Jiangjunosaurus. Jiangjunosaurus is a genus of herbivorous stegosaurian dinosaur from the Oxfordian age, Upper Jurassic, Shishugu Formation of the Yungar Basin, Xinjiang, China. Discovery and naming. In 2002, Lu Yongfei discovered the remains of a stegosaurian. These were secured by a Sino-American expedition and prepared by Xiong Lishi and Ding Xiaoqing. The type species, Jiangjunosaurus yungarensis, was named and described by Jia Cheng-kai, Catherine Foster, Xu Xing and James Clark in 2007. The generic name refers to the abandoned town of Jiangjunmao. Jiangjun is general in Chinese, and the town's name, the Temple of the General, has been explained by the burial of one. The specific name refers to the provenance from the Yungar. The holotype, IVPPV 14724, was found in a layer of the Shishugu Formation, dating from the Oxfordian. It includes the lower jaws, some rear skull bones, 11 neck vertebrae, ribs, a scapula, a coracoid, and 2 neck plates. These elements were found in almost perfect articulation. It represents a subadult individual. Description. In 2010, Gregory S. Paul estimated that Jiangjunosaurus reached around 6 meters, 20 feet, in length and weighed 2.5 tons. The describers established 3 distinguishing traits. The crowns of the teeth are symmetrical and inside view wider than tall, the spine of the axis, the second neck vertebra, has a rectangular profile inside view, instead of a triangular one, and the rear neck vertebrae have large vein openings in their sides. The skull of Jiangjunosaurus is relatively elongated, the maximum width above the postorbitals probably measuring 35% of the skull length. There are at least 14 teeth in the maxilla. The quadratigigle has a robust horizontal front branch and a thin short vertical branch, only half as tall as the quadrate shaft. There is no clear foramen paraquadraticum, opening between the quadrate and quadratigigle. The quadrate is inclined to the rear and has a depression on its flange contacting the pterygoid. There is no clear opening between the front branches of the pterygoids. The predentary, the bone core of the lower beak placed on the fronts of both lower jaws, has a deep and hooked chin. Between the predentary and the tooth row a gap is present equal to about 4 tooth positions. From the rear part of a bone shelf at the outside of the tooth row a vertical plate extends upwards, obscuring that row inside view. The plate continues to the rear into a high coronoid process. Between dentary, syrangular and angular a rather tall triangular mandibular fenestra is present. The dentary bears 21 teeth, which are slightly larger than those of the upper jaws. All teeth of Jiangjunosaurus are symmetrical with a triangular profile. Front and rear edges have both 7 denticles. Inside view the teeth are broad, about as wide as tall. Both their inner and outer sides are convexly curved from the front to the rear. The usual vertical ridges are present but weakly developed. The frontmost and rearmost teeth lack them completely. Primary vertical ridges in the middle are absent. Of the neck vertebrae the second, the axis, has a neural spine or processus spinosus that is rectangular inside view, due to a higher than normal front edge. It is elongated and rather low. From the 5th cervical vertebra onwards large depressions appear on the lower rear side of the vertebral body. These are pierced by large openings that become progressively wider further back in the series. These foramina are superficially very similar to the pneumatic openings with Saurischia. However, CAT scans of the Jiangjunosaurus fossils revealed that the openings are not connected to inner air spaces and thus probably served as vein channels. Some dorsal ribs have a crescent-shaped flange at their lower ends. 2 neck plates have been preserved, probably in their original position. One is positioned above the axis, the other above the 3rd cervical. The plates are roughly circular or diamond-shaped in form. They are slightly taller than wide inside view, have an obtuse triangular top and a constricted base. The bases are transversely thicker than the top sections, which show a pattern of fine diverging ridges. The plates are positioned to the right of the neural spines and the describers assumed 2 rows were originally present. Phylogeny. Jiangjunosaurus was placed in the Stegosauridae in 2007. The describers concluded that within the Stegosauridae it had a basal position. This was not based on an exact cladistic analysis but on the method of comparative anatomy. Jiangjunosaurus shows a mix of basal and derived traits. Characters that are typically stegosaurid are the inclined quadrate, the vertical plate on the dentary, the depression on the pterygoid flange of the quadrate, the bottom edge of the scapula exceeding the upper edge of the coracoid in length, and the double row of larger neck plates. A basal stegosaurid position is suggested by the horizontal front branch of the quadratigigle combined with the ventral process on the main body. Paleobiology. Jiangjunosaurus may have been a prey item for the Me triacanthosaur theropods in raptor.